I'm a single mother who signs a fake marriage contract with a billionaire to save my sick child. But when my daughter starts calling him dad, the deal becomes real and dangerous. New York wasn't built for people like me. It was built for the ones looking down from glass towers, sipping $6 coffee, acting like the city is their birthright. For me, it was just cold streets and colder luck. My name's Maya Carter. 27. Single mom. Walking hustle. I learned real quick that when life punches you, nobody shouts cut, like a movie scene. You just take it, and pray there's something worth taking it for. I had something. Her name is Sophie. 6 years old. My whole damn world. She got cancer before she even learned multiplication, and somehow the hospital bills were multiplying faster than the disease. Doctors told me there's a treatment, experimental, high success rate, and a price tag that looked like a phone number. I laughed when they said it. Not because it was funny, but because when you're drowning, you don't cry, you choke. That night, I sat outside the hospital entrance, numb fingers wrapped around a cheap coffee I couldn't taste. I wasn't praying, I was bargaining with the sky. Take everything. Just leave her. And then the universe sent an answer wearing a black suit that cost more than my car ever did. Damian Blackwell. Billionaire. CEO. The kind of man who walks like even gravity owes him money. He stopped right in front of me like fate ordered an Uber and got delivered. "You're Maya, right?" he asked, like he already knew the answer. I blinked. Rich people don't know our names unless we're written on a bill they own. "How do you know me?" I asked back. He turned his phone toward me. A GoFundMe page. My face. My begging. My broken. "I read your story," he said like he was talking about a weather report, not my life burning on a screen. Then he said the sentence that snapped my world in half. "I'll pay for your daughter's treatment." I could have passed out, cried, kissed his damn shoes, but my brain was too busy waiting for the word that always comes next. But he didn't disappoint. "But I need something in return," he finished. My stomach flipped. A favor from a billionaire isn't a favor. It's a contract written in blood. "What do you want?" I whispered. His eyes didn't blink. Cold. Calculated. Sharp enough to cut the night in half. "Marry me." The wind literally stopped. Even the city went quiet like it wanted to hear my answer. A fake marriage. 3 months. Bills paid. My daughter gets a chance to live. Morals? Pride? Principles? All of that becomes luxury when your kid is dying. So I didn't negotiate. Didn't hesitate. Yes. That one word sold whatever was left of my soul. And he said something that shook me more than the proposal. "Treatment starts tomorrow. Sophie is under my insurance now." He'd already done it. Before I even agreed. That's when I realized something scary. He didn't pick me by accident. And tomorrow, my little girl was going to meet her new dad, even if this whole thing was a lie. The next morning smelled like disinfectant and fear. Hospitals always smell like that, like they're fighting death with bleach. I barely slept. My head was a battlefield. money, contracts, the word wife echoing like sarcasm in a church. But none of that mattered when I looked at Sophie. She was small in that hospital bed, smaller than 6 years old should ever look. Tubes, 4 monitors. All the things kids should never know. Her eyes opened when she heard me, tired but bright. "Mommy," she whispered. Just that word made pain feel worth something. I kissed her forehead. "Baby, someone special is coming to meet you today." Sophie tried to smile. She always tries. Even when her body can't. "Like a princess?" she asked. I forced a laugh. "Kind of. More like a helper." I didn't know how to explain fake billionaire husband in kid language. How do you tell a child you sold your future so she could have one? The door opened before I found the answer. Damien walked in like the room loaned him oxygen. Tailored coat, black turtleneck, eyes scanning everything like he was analyzing assets. For a second, just one, he looked human. He saw Sophie. The machines. Her tiny wrist. Something flickered in his expression. Like a memory punched him. "Hi," he said softly. Not his normal CEO voice. This was different, careful. Sophie blinked at him. "Kids don't see money. They see vibes." "You're tall," she said. He actually froze. Then, the smallest smile touched his mouth. "So I've been told." He walked closer, slow, like approaching a wild bird he didn't want to scare. I watched every step. This was the man who would legally become my husband today. And I knew nothing about him except his last name could buy cities. He sat beside the bed, leaving space, not crowding her. "What's your name?" she asked. He didn't answer immediately, like the question was deeper than she meant. "Damien," he finally said. Sophie nodded, processing. Then she tilted her head, curious, fearless in a way only sick kids are. "Are you my dad?" My heart stopped. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. I never told her anything. I never said the word dad. I opened my mouth, panic ready to spill. But Damien didn't even blink. He looked right at her and answered with a voice I didn't recognize. "If you want me to be." That sentence cracked something in the air. The room didn't feel like business anymore. Sophie smiled, the soft, tired kind that feels like sunrise. "Okay," she whispered. "Hi, Dad." I swear everything inside me broke open. Damien didn't correct her. Didn't explain contracts or terms. He just accepted it. He reached out, slowly, and she placed her tiny hand in his like it was the most natural thing in the world. He didn't squeeze. He held her fingers like they were glass. In that moment, I saw something the world never would. Damien Blackwell, billionaire, boardroom killer, looked scared. Not of money. Not of power. But of a 6-year-old girl trusting him. He cleared his throat, trying to pull himself back together. "I brought you something," he said. From his coat, he pulled a small stuffed rabbit. Simple. White. Not expensive, which made it priceless. "You look like a rabbit person," he added. Sophie hugged it instantly. faster than she hugged me most days. "I love it," she said. He nodded once. Like her approval meant more than any investor ever could. And in that second, I realized the danger wasn't the contract. It was this. A child who needed a father. A man who swore he didn't want a family. And a mother who knew this was all fake, but watched something real happen anyway. Because when a little girl calls a stranger dad, the deal stops being business and starts being bond. The next morning smelled like disinfectant and fear. Hospitals always smell like that, like they're fighting death with bleach. I barely slept. My head was a battlefield. Money, contracts, the word wife echoing like sarcasm in a church. But none of that mattered when I looked at Sophie. She was small in that hospital bed. Smaller than 6 years old should ever look. Tubes, 4, monitors, all the things kids should never know. Her eyes opened when she heard me, tired but bright. "Mommy," she whispered. Just that word made pain feel worth something. I kissed her forehead. "Baby, someone special is coming to meet you today." Sophie tried to smile. She always tries, even when her body can't. "Like a princess?" she asked. I forced a laugh. "Kind of. More like a helper." I didn't know how to explain fake billionaire husband in kid language. How do you tell a child you sold your future so she could have one? The door opened before I found the answer. Damien walked in like the room loaned him oxygen. Tailored coat, black turtleneck, eyes scanning everything like he was analyzing assets. For a second. Just one. He looked human. He saw Sophie. The machines. Her tiny wrist. Something flickered in his expression. Like a memory punched him. "Hi," he said softly. Not his normal CEO voice. This was different, careful. Sophie blinked at him. "Kids don't see money. They see vibes." "You're tall," she said. He actually froze. Then, the smallest smile touched his mouth. "So I've been told." He walked closer, slow, like approaching a wild bird he didn't want to scare. I watched every step. This was the man who would legally become my husband today. And I knew nothing about him except his last name could buy cities. He sat beside the bed, leaving space. Not crowding her. "What's your name?" she asked. He didn't answer immediately, like the question was deeper than she meant. "Damien," he finally said. Sophie nodded, processing. Then she tilted her head, curious, fearless in a way only sick kids are. "Are you my dad?" My heart stopped. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. I never told her anything. I never said the word dad. I opened my mouth, panic ready to spill. But Damien didn't even blink. He looked right at her and answered with a voice I didn't recognize. "If you want me to be." That sentence cracked something in the air. The room didn't feel like business anymore. Sophie smiled, the soft, tired kind that feels like sunrise. "Okay," she whispered. "Hi, Dad." I swear everything inside me broke open. Damien didn't correct her. Didn't explain contracts or terms. He just accepted it. He reached out, slowly, and she placed her tiny hand in his like it was the most natural thing in the world. He didn't squeeze. He held her fingers like they were glass. In that moment, I saw something the world never would. Damien Blackwell, billionaire, boardroom killer, looked scared. Not of money. Not of power. But of a 6-year-old girl trusting him. He cleared his throat, trying to pull himself back together. "I brought you something," he said. From his coat, he pulled a small stuffed rabbit. Simple. White. Not expensive. Which made it priceless. "You look like a rabbit person," he added. Sophie hugged it instantly, faster than she hugged me most days. "I love it," she said. He nodded once, like her approval meant more than any investor ever could. And in that second, I realized the danger wasn't the contract. It was this. A child who needed a father. A man who swore he didn't want a family. And a mother who knew this was all fake, but watched something real happen anyway. Because when a little girl calls a stranger dad, the deal stops being business and starts being bond. 2 days after the wedding contract, my life started looking like a movie I never auditioned for. I wasn't just Maya, single mother struggling with bills anymore. I was Mrs. Blackwell, the ghost wife nobody knew existed. The hospital staff started treating me different. Not because they knew the truth, but because Damien's last name works like a magic spell. Suddenly, nurses smiled wider. Doctors explained longer. Everyone spoke gently, like wealth is contagious. I hated it. I loved it. I hated that I loved it. Sophie didn't care. She only cared that Dad came every morning with a different stuffed animal. A fox. A penguin. A unicorn with pink fur that shed glitter everywhere. "Mom, he knows all my animals," she whispered once, eyes glowing. I didn't know how to reply without breaking. Sometimes Damien read her stories, voice quiet, like he didn't want to scare the moment. Sometimes he just sat there, watching her breathe like he was memorizing every second. And watching him watch her was dangerous. It made me forget this was fake. But reality loves to slap you when your heart starts dreaming. It happened on a Thursday. I was grabbing a vending machine coffee, the kind that tastes like hot regret, when my phone buzzed with a notification. A text from an unknown number. "Your marriage is a lie." My blood turned into ice. I scanned the hall, empty except for a janitor pushing a mop bucket. Another message. "Meet me outside in 5 minutes." No name. No details. Just a threat dressed like a whisper. I almost ran straight to Damien. But something told me not to. This felt like a trap meant to watch his reaction. Maybe that's paranoia. Or maybe I've lived enough life to know danger doesn't knock, it texts. I went outside. Cold air slapped my face like the season was angry at everyone. A black car sat by the curb, windows tinted like secrets. The back door opened. A man stepped out, expensive coat, expensive smile, eyes that watched people the way hawks watch prey. He looked like Damien if Damien grew up trusting nobody. "Mrs. Blackwell," he said, like tasting the title with sarcasm. "I'm pleased to finally meet the woman who married my nephew." Nephew. This was him. The uncle. The enemy hiding inside the family tree. He didn't offer his hand. He didn't need to, his presence was a handshake with power. Damien must be very desperate, he said. I held my voice steady. I don't know what you're talking about. His smile sharpened. I know a fake when I see one. Especially a fake wife. My pulse kicked hard, but I kept my face calm. He studied me, slowly, like reading ingredients on a poison bottle. You're not from our world. No debutante background. No photos with him. Not a single tabloid rumor. Out of nowhere, you're his wife. I shrugged. Not everyone wants attention. He chuckled, cold, controlled. Tell me something, what did he offer you? Money? Protection? A fairy tale and a contract? His eyes slid right into mine. A dying child, perhaps? My whole body went electric. How did he know? How dare you, I started. He cut me off with a palm gesture, casual cruelty. You made a deal. Women like you always do. It's not personal, it's survival. He stepped closer. And survival makes you predictable. I wanted to scream. Shove him. Tell him he knew nothing. But he knew everything that mattered. You think this plan will save him, he said. It won't. The board wants a leader. Not a charity case marrying charity. He leaned in, voice like poison wrapped in silk. And I will expose him. With or without your help. Then he walked back to the car. Before getting in, he looked over his shoulder. You won't win this, Mrs. Blackwell. My brother died trying to prove love matters. The world doesn't agree. The door shut. The car disappeared into traffic like a shadow slipping into darkness. I stood there shaking, part fear, part fury. He knew about Sophie. About the contract. About everything. And he wasn't warning me. He was promising war. When I got back upstairs, Damien was sitting beside Sophie, letting her braid his fingers like they were Play-Doh. He looked up, and just one look at my face stripped the calm off his. What happened? He asked. I didn't know how to say it without breaking the fragile peace inside the room. So I told the truth, quietly. Your uncle knows. Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. Not panic. Purpose. He stood slowly, like a storm taking shape. Then he said the words that changed everything. From this moment on, you're not just my wife for the contract. His voice dropped, low and final. You're my shield. Damien didn't raise his voice. Powerful people rarely do. They don't need volume, just direction. He walked to the window, called someone, and his tone sharpened like a blade. Prepare a public appearance, today. No greeting. No context. Just an order. Whoever was on the other end didn't argue. You don't argue with a man who can move markets with a sentence. He ended the call and turned to me, expression locked. My uncle thinks he's the only one with leverage, he said. He forgets the power of a story. I frowned. What story? Our story, Damien replied. My heart skipped. But it's fake. His eyes didn't soften. It doesn't matter. In a boardroom, perception is reality. He walked closer. Not the smooth businessman walk, but something like controlled anger held inside steel. Tonight, we're going to a public charity gala. Cameras. Investors. Board members. Everyone who matters. I froze. Damien, I'm not a socialite. I don't belong in that world. You don't need to belong, he said. You need to be believed. The sentence hit me like a spotlight, harsh and undeniable. Before I could respond, Sophie tugged his sleeve. He looked down. That edge in his face melted, like her voice hits a switch nothing else can reach. Yes, he asked. Sophie held up a crayon drawing, uneven hearts, stick figures, and a giant bunny with glitter hair. This is us, she said proudly. You, me, Mommy, and Mr. Sprinkles. Mr. Sprinkles is the unicorn. She named it herself. Important information, obviously. Damien stared at the drawing like it was a stock report he couldn't analyze. He pointed at the largest stick figure. Who's that? That's you, Sophie said, serious. You're tall. Like a building. He blinked, then looked away fast, like something in his chest moved without permission. And this little one? He asked. Me, she smiled. And Mommy's here because she's my hero. My throat tightened. Then Sophie pointed between the two stick figures, a tiny heart drawn between them. And that's because you love each other, she added casually. Like she was describing gravity. The world stopped. Even the machines felt silent. Damien's jaw clenched, just a flicker, like that sentence hurt. He didn't correct her. He didn't explain contracts or board elections or family politics. He just said, quietly, "That's beautiful, Sophie." She studied him with that all-seeing innocence. "Do you love Mommy?" A bomb in a pink voice. I felt the floor tilt. Damien looked at her, then at me, like the question was more dangerous than his uncle. No contract prepared us for this. He knelt beside her bed, eye level. Right now, he said slowly, I love that she's the strongest person I've ever met. My heart hit hard against my ribs. Not yes. Not no. Something real and terrifying. Sophie smiled, satisfied like she solved a riddle. Then you love her, she declared. And that was it. No debate. Kids don't need legal proof for love. She leaned back, tired, clutching Mr. Sprinkles. Damien stood, the moment still heavy in the air. He took a breath, shifted into CEO again. Be ready by 6, he told me. We walk in together. Then he left the room. No goodbye. No backward glance. But I noticed something he didn't mean to show. He left the drawing behind, folded and tucked into his coat pocket. Like armor. Hours passed like slow rain. I sat next to Sophie, brushing her hair with my fingers. She slept, small breaths, big dreams. In that silence, a question I hated whispered in my mind. What if this stops being fake for her? Then another question, darker. What if it stops being fake for me? The line between business and family was blurring. Melted by a 6-year-old who thinks love is simple math. And in the hallway outside, I heard Damien giving orders, strong, loud, controlled. Preparing for war. For legacy. For promises made to a mother he lost. But for Sophie. Maybe he was preparing for something he never planned to want. To become a father. The dress felt wrong on my body. Not because it didn't fit, it did, perfectly, expensive silk always does. It felt wrong because it wasn't me. It was the costume of a woman who belonged beside a billionaire. Black velvet, low back, subtle sparkle. The kind of dress that's quiet luxury instead of screaming price tag. A stylist. One of Damien's people. Had worked on me for 2 hours. Makeup flawless. Hair pinned like I'm walking a runway instead of a hospital hallway. Beautiful, she whispered when she finished. I stared at my reflection like I was looking at a stranger. A version of myself from a life that never happened. But then I remembered why I was doing this. Sophie. I pulled her little drawing from my bag and tucked it into the inside of my clutch, like a secret talisman against everything fake. When I stepped into the lobby, Damien was waiting. Black suit. Black tie. Black everything, except his eyes, which looked like storm clouds ready to break. For a second, he just stared. No comment. No compliment. Just silence. Thick, heavy, loaded. You look, he started, then stopped. Like his mouth didn't trust honesty. He finished quietly. You look like you belong. I almost laughed. If only he knew how alien these shoes felt. The driver opened the door. Damien offered his hand. Public husband mode on. Limousine lights, city glow through tinted glass. It was like riding through another dimension. But outside the window, real life never stopped. People in winter coats rushed down sidewalks. Pizza shops steamed up glass. A kid laughed as his dad lifted him up. Families everywhere. And there I was, practicing being a fake one. The event. The gala was held in a museum, marble floors shining like water, art hanging on walls like silent witnesses. Photographers lined the entrance. Bulbs flashed. Names shouted. Faces smiling for money, not happiness. My stomach twisted. Damien leaned closer, voice low. Smile like you're safe. I'm not, I whispered. He didn't argue, he adjusted my hand on his arm, protective, rehearsed. Then we stepped into the fire. Cameras exploded like thunder. Damien. Mr. Blackwell. Who's your wife? Since when are you married? Exclusive shot. Hands reached, microphone stretched, questions like bullets. How did you meet? Is she pregnant? No ring? Wedding date? Someone yelled. Is this to secure the board vote? Damien didn't flinch, his face stayed calm like a painting. He answered one question, just one. But he answered it like a statement carved in stone. I married the woman I love. The crowd gasped. The kind of gasp you hear in movies. Love. The word detonated like a grenade. Reporters went wild, questions turned into chaos. Before anyone could grab more, Damien led me inside, fast, efficient, like a soldier pulling a civilian out of fire. My heart was hammering, not from cameras, but from that word. Love. He used it like a shield. For the story. For the lie. But the way he said it. It didn't sound like acting. Inside, people watched us. Sharks wearing diamonds. The board members, the old money heirs, the perfect wives with practiced laughs. And then. Him. The uncle. Standing near a sculpture, glass of champagne raised like a toast to his own cruelty. He smirked. Slow, satisfied. Like he was watching a chess move he predicted. He walked toward us. Casual, confident, dangerous. Congratulations, he said. You look convincing. Damien's posture shifted, sharp angles and cold edges. We didn't invite you, he replied. His uncle smiled like he enjoyed being uninvited. The board did. They want to see the happy couple. The fairy tale. Then his gaze slid to me. You play your role well, he said. Even your eyes look in love. I stayed silent. Because anything I said would expose the cracks. He stepped closer, too close. Tell me, Mrs. Blackwell, what does it feel like to be paid to love someone? The question sliced deeper than he knew, because in that moment, I wasn't sure my feelings were as fake as the contract. Before I could answer, Damien's hand moved, subtle but firm, resting on the small of my back. Not performative. Protective. He spoke for me. She wasn't paid to love me. She chose to. A statement. Not an explanation. His uncle's smile vanished for a second, like the sentence hit a vein. Be careful, he said softly. If the world believes your lie, it becomes truth. And truth comes with consequences. Then, like smoke, he disappeared into the crowd. Damien turned to me, voice controlled. He wants you to slip. He wants doubt. Don't give him either. I stared up at him. What about you? I asked. Do you believe it? For the first time since I met him, Damien didn't have an immediate answer. His throat moved, like he swallowed something sharp. Then he replied. I believe in what protects Sophie. Not love. Not marriage. Protection. Part of me should have felt relief. The other part felt something else, something stupid and dangerous. Disappointment. As the night continued, the performance got easier. People congratulated us. Complimented the dress. Asked how we met. Damien told a simple story, almost believable. A cafe. Accidental conversation. Instant connection. I added details, nervous laugh, casual touches, things couples do without thinking. Somewhere between the lies. My heart betrayed me. I liked it. Being the woman he looked at in front of the world. His hand on my back. His voice saying we instead of I. Stupid. Dangerous. But real in the moment. Toward the end of the night, as we stepped outside for air, away from cameras, the city silent around us, I asked the question burning my chest. When you said you love me to the cameras, why did it sound real? He looked at me, no boardroom mask, no billionaire armor. Just him. Because, he said quietly, the woman I married for a contract became more than that when she didn't run. My breath caught. More than that. Not wife. But something in between. He looked away first, like that truth scared him. Then his phone buzzed. He checked it. And his face changed. Not anger. Not fear. Something colder. He turned the screen for me to see. A news alert. Damian Blackwell's secret marriage. Leaked documents suggest contract agreement. Someone leaked the truth. Someone wanted to destroy him. To destroy us. The uncle didn't just threaten war. He started it. The ride back to the hospital was the longest 10 minutes of my life. Damian didn't speak. Not a word. Just stared at his phone like he could strangle the headlines through it. Every second, another notification exploded on the screen. Anonymous source reveals contract marriage. Blackwell wife paid for partnership. Billionaire buys love to secure board control. Each headline was a bullet. Aimed right at Sophie, and at the promise he made to his mother. When the elevator doors opened into the oncology floor, the world felt smaller. Too small for billion-dollar scandals and family wars. Sophie matters. Not the headlines. That's what I told myself while walking to her room. But truth has sharp edges, and it was waiting for us. A nurse stood outside the door. Phone in hand, eyes wide, trying to pretend she wasn't reading about me. When she saw Damian, she froze like a student caught cheating. I didn't know, she stammered. He didn't react, didn't rage, didn't defend, just said, "Please remove your phone from the floor." Soft voice. Deadly calm. She nodded and disappeared like smoke. We entered Sophie's room. And there she was, tiny, pale, tubes everywhere, watching cartoons like the outside world didn't exist. Her innocence was a shield. But even shields crack. She saw us and smiled, weak but warm. "You're back," she whispered. My heart melted and shattered in the same breath. Damian stepped to her bed, his whole world shrinking to the size of a sick child's hands. "How are you feeling?" he asked. She shrugged like she was discussing toys, not chemo. "Tired. But the unicorn is helping." She held up Mr. Sprinkles, now missing one glitter ear. Damian smiled. The kind of smile he'll never show board members. Then it happened. Her eyes slid to the TV. A news ticker at the bottom of the screen. Billionaire's secret marriage exposed as business contract. They didn't say our names. Not yet. But smart kids connect dots faster than adults give them credit for. Sophie looked at me. Then at Damian. Then. "Are people mad because you love mommy?" Simple question. Complex pain. I scrambled for words, lies dressed as comfort. "No, baby. People just talk about things." But Damian cut in, and his voice wasn't CEO or strategist. It was real. They're mad because they don't understand our family. Family. The word landed heavy. It wasn't part of the deal. It wasn't in the contract. Sophie believed it instantly. She nodded, satisfied. If we're a family, we just stay together. Then they stopped talking. Her solution was pure, naive, and somehow smarter than all of us. I kissed her forehead. We're together, I said. She closed her eyes and drifted into sleep, like trust was the easiest thing in the world. When we stepped into the hallway, silence snapped. Damien's calm shattered. Someone on the inside leaked the agreement, he said. Confidential pages. Payment clauses. I swallowed hard. Your uncle? He shook his head once. No. He wouldn't get his hands dirty. He'd use someone close to me. My stomach dropped. Someone you trust. He didn't answer. And that told me everything. I leaned against the wall, emotions crashing like waves I couldn't catch. This is my fault, I whispered. His eyes cut to mine. Sharp, fast. No. A single word. Final. This was my world long before you entered it. You're not responsible for how ugly it is. Ugly. He finally said it. The truth behind the polished suits and skyscraper offices. Then why pull me into it? I asked. He exhaled, slow, heavy, like the answer hurt. Because someone had to stand beside me when he attacked. It couldn't be someone from my world. Why not? Because everyone in my world wants something from me. And I don't? The question slipped out. Bitter. You want something for Sophie, he corrected. Not for me. That difference hit deep. I held his gaze. What happened with your mother? I asked. Gentle, but sharp enough to open doors. He looked away. She didn't come from money. My father loved her. His family hated her. They tried to break her. They almost succeeded. Almost. What stopped them? His voice cracked, barely, but enough to shake the air. I did. I stared. How old were you? 12. A knife in the chest. He told me before he died. Choose love, not legacy. But love lost him everything. So I made sure legacy couldn't lose. So you became him, I whispered. His jaw tightened. No. I became what the world needed to respect him. That was worse than becoming his father. He became the armor his father never had. And your uncle? I asked. Wants to erase that legacy by proving love was a mistake. Silence wrapped around us, tight. Then he looked at me, eyes tired, hard, human. I chose a woman like my mother to stand beside me, because my father believed the right woman could change everything. The floor moved under my feet, or maybe my heart did. But this is fake, I said, a lifeline I needed to hold. He stepped closer, 1 inch away, voice low. Tell me something, Maya, after everything we've been through, does it feel fake to you when Sophie calls me Dad? The hallway went silent. I thought of her little voice. Her smile. The drawing with the heart between us. I should have said yes. To protect her. To protect me. But my truth betrayed me soft, broken. No. His breath caught. Not for love. For danger. Because when the fake stops feeling fake, a lie becomes a bond. And bonds get broken. He leaned even closer, whisper sharp. This is why it's dangerous, Maya. Not because the world is attacking, but because we're starting to believe the lie. I didn't move. Neither did he. Then his phone buzzed again, slicing the moment in half. His face changed. He handed me the screen. And there it was. Board to hold emergency vote, Blackwell's position at risk. Date, tomorrow morning. Time, 8 a.m. The world wasn't waiting. War was now. Damien closed his eyes, like gathering strength he stored for years. When he opened them. Tomorrow decides everything. For the company? I asked. He shook his head. For Sophie. Morning arrived too fast. Not sunrise, impact. Like someone pressed fast forward on life and skipped the part where we breathed. Damien hadn't slept. I could tell by the eyes, sharp on the outside, wrecked on the inside. The world sees a billionaire. I saw a boy who fought for his mother's ghost. He wore a navy suit today. Not black. Blue. Power, without funeral. He stood at the mirror, fixing his tie like it was a weapon. I watched him from the doorway. You don't have to go alone, I said. His reflection met mine. You're not part of this world. I stepped in, slow, steady. Then you brought the wrong woman into it. That pulled something behind his ribs, something real. He turned. How do I bring you into a room where everyone wants me dead without a gun? I smiled, sad, sharp. Use me as your shield, remember? A beat. Then he nodded. Not agreement. Respect. The drive. The car rolled through Manhattan like it didn't touch the ground. I wasn't dressed for war. I was dressed for truth. Simple white blouse. Black blazer. Hair pinned clean. Not a wife. Not a model. A mother who knows why she's here. Sophie's drawing was in my bag again, our only good luck charm. Damien's phone buzzed with chaos, messages from investors, lawyers, vultures disguised as friends. He ignored all of them. Then he spoke quietly. They'll question you. They'll treat you like a liar. They'll try to break you. That's fine, I said. I've been broken before. He looked at me, really looked. That's what scares them. Blackwell headquarters doesn't look like a building. It looks like ambition grew teeth and learned architecture. Glass walls. Steel edges. 30 floors of legacy. In the lobby, people stared. Not whispers. Not rumors. Curiosity. Judgment. Fear. A billionaire in crisis is a storm. Everyone checks their windows. The elevator ride was silent, just breaths and heartbeat. When the doors opened, the board was waiting. Long table. 12 people. Gray hair, darker motives. They looked at me like I was a malfunction in the system. The uncle sat at the far end. Calm. Poison contained in a suit. He tapped his pen. Shall we begin? A lawyer read the accusations. Fraudulent marriage. Manipulation of company governance. Breach of ethical standards. Each word cut deeper than the last. Then the uncle stood. Blackwell claims his marriage is real, he said, hands clasped like a priest giving last rites. But documents show payment. $1 million, tied to board election deadlines. Gasps. Judgment. Eyes like knives. And the wife, he added, chin toward me. A broke single mother with a critically ill child? Convenient. He smiled. This isn't love. It's business. The kind his father despised. Sword to the heart. Damien didn't move. Not panic. Not fear. Just silence, like gathering gravity. The uncle finished. Remove him from his position. The room buzzed, voices overlapping like bees. Then, Mrs. Blackwell, one of the board members said, "Your testimony. Why did you marry him?" All eyes. Spotlight. Truth or death? I stood. Not shaky. Not shy. Solid. I didn't marry a billionaire, I said. I married a man who walked into a hospital where my daughter was dying and saved her life before asking anything. Silence, thick. Did he pay me? Yes. But not for marriage. Every head lifted. He paid to save my child. And in return, I agreed to stand beside him for 3 months, not as a loving wife, but as proof that his mother's legacy matters more than power. The uncle laughed. Touching. I looked right at him. You talk about his father's belief in love like you knew anything about it. He blinked, first crack. You think love is a weakness because you never had to fight for it. You inherited your power like a coat. Damien earned his like a scar. The room shifted. He was 12 when he fought to keep his mother's memory alive, I continued. You were 60 when you tried to bury it. Someone whispered. The sound of perspective breaking. You want to destroy him by proving love doesn't exist, I said. But the only proof you have is a contract that shows a man saving a child he didn't even know. I paused. That isn't business. That's grace. The word hit like thunder. Grace. Human, not corporate. The uncle rose, furious, mask slipping. She's a liar. Damien finally stood. And the room listened. No, he said. She's the only one here telling the truth. His voice cracked once, like his father might hear it. My mother believed love is a choice, one you make even when it hurts. I didn't choose Maya for money. I chose her because her strength is something my family never had. He looked at me. Not the way billionaires look at trophies. But the way sons look at legacies. I chose a woman like my mother, he finished, because my father was right. The room stopped breathing. I felt something heavy in my chest, like the world shifted plates. A board member, the oldest one, spoke. I knew your mother. She was the only good thing in this family. Her voice trembled. And today, I see her again. Then she turned to the room. My vote goes to Damien. One by one, hands rose. Not all. But enough. Damien won. A razor-thin victory. The uncle's face collapsed into rage, quiet, dangerous rage. He leaned close as the room cleared. You think this ends with a vote? Damien met his eyes. No. It ends with you understanding you never break someone who's already been broken. For the first time, the uncle was silent. After the war, we left the boardroom. No cheers. No champagne. Just exhaustion that felt like freedom. In the elevator, neither of us spoke. Then, halfway down, Damien whispered, "You didn't have to protect me." I looked at him. "You didn't have to save Sophie." That shut him up. At the lobby, he said something quieter than any promise in the contract. "You're more dangerous than my uncle." I laughed once. Dangerous how? He stepped close. "You make people believe in something real." My heart flipped. Not from romance. From the truth that real is the most dangerous thing in a world built on lies. When we reached Sophie's floor, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Just one sentence. This isn't over. The war was won. The enemy wasn't done. And in the room down the hall, a child slept, holding a unicorn with missing glitter ear. Calling a man she barely knew Dad. The boardroom win should have felt like victory. It didn't. Victory has a sound, clapping, laughing, relief. This felt like silence before aftershocks. We were back in the hospital before lunchtime. Damien didn't go to the office. He didn't take calls. He stayed. In Sophie's room. Sitting in the little pink chair meant for parents, not billionaires with empires to run. Sophie woke up from a nap, eyes foggy from medication, and saw him first. "Dad," she whispered, like the word belonged to her. Not him. Her. He leaned closer, brushing her hair back, unfamiliar hands doing a familiar gesture, with the gentleness of someone terrified to hurt something fragile. "Hey," he said. "Guess what?" She blinked. "What?" "I won a big meeting today." Her smile was slow, tired, golden. "Like a trophy?" He paused. "Yes," he said. "Like a trophy." She nodded, satisfied. "Mom said, trophies are for people who don't give up." Her voice faded at the edges, exhaustion pulling her down, even while she fought to stay present. Damien looked at me then, over her small head, eyes unguarded. And I saw it. Not pride. Not ego. A kind of heartbreak disguised as hope. He wasn't celebrating a board vote. He was celebrating a child believing he was the kind of man worth calling dad. That's when I realized something dangerous. He wasn't pretending anymore. The threat. At 3 p.m., a nurse came in with a tablet, shaking. "It's on the news," she whispered. I took it. Breaking news. Anonymous source claims Blackwell used sick child to secure corporate power. My stomach collapsed. The headline wasn't about the contract anymore. It was about Sophie. Her illness. Her name. Her picture from my GoFundMe. A private tragedy turned into a business weapon. Damien stood behind me, staring at the screen like someone just dragged a blade across his soul. "This is how he retaliates," he said softly. The uncle's warning wasn't a threat. It was a roadmap. If he couldn't kill Damien's legacy, he'd poison the reason behind it. He would make the world believe Damien exploited a dying child for power. Because winning the war means nothing if the world thinks you became the monster they predicted. I turned to Damien, shaking. "My daughter is not your tool." His jaw tightened. "She never was. And I'm about to destroy anyone who says otherwise." There was no CEO in his voice now. Just a man who finally had something worth burning everything for. A hospital legal advisor came to the room. She spoke carefully. "The article has already reached investors, medical ethics boards, and social media. People are asking if funding was conditional to gain public sympathy." Conditional. That word. As if saving a child is manipulative when a rich man does it, but expected when a poor mother begs. My hands trembled. "In 2 hours," the advisor said, "every talk show, every blog, every reporter will be asking if your daughter's illness was used as a tool." Sophie turned her head weakly. "Mama, are people mad that he saved me?" She had no idea what the word exploited meant. But she understood mad. I held her tiny hand. "No, baby. They're mad because they don't understand the truth yet." She nodded, trusting me more than reality. Damien knelt beside the bed. His voice cracked. "The first time without control. I would save you even if it ruined me." 6 words. More honest than the contract. More dangerous than the marriage. I covered my mouth, fighting tears. Sophie blinked at him, soft, sleepy. "Then don't be sad," she whispered. "I'm alive." Alive. The word landed like a punch. She was alive today. And tomorrow, nobody knows. And the world spends its time screaming about scandal while a little girl is fighting for sunrise. The journalist. At 4 p.m., security escorted a woman to the hallway, someone with a press badge, camera bag, and a face that looked apologetic before speaking. "I'm not here to hurt you," she said. I didn't believe her. She lowered her voice. "I knew your mother," she said to Damien. He froze. "My mother?" he repeated, small, disbelieving. The woman nodded. "I interned for a magazine when your father married her. Everyone hated the story. Billionaire marries waitress. They called it disgraceful. He called it destiny." The word destiny knocked the breath out of him. "He wrote a letter," she continued. "About love. About a son who would one day understand." Damien's hands shook, visibly. "And I kept it," the woman finished. She pulled out a sealed envelope, yellowed at the edges, handwriting in the corner. "For Damien, when the world forgets love." Silence exploded. He stared at the letter like it was radioactive. His fingers didn't move. He couldn't open it. So I took it. His eyes lifted to mine, raw, broken in a way his uncle could never understand. "It's okay," I whispered. I read it out loud. The letter. "Son, if you are reading this, it means the world tried to make you choose between love and power. They will tell you love is weakness. They will punish you for choosing someone who isn't chosen by your class. But love is the one thing money cannot force. It must be given, not bought." Damien closed his eyes, one tear, no sound. I kept reading. "One day, a woman like your mother will save you. Not with money, but with strength. With truth. With the way she loves someone more than herself. Sophie. That's her. When you see that woman, don't be afraid. Stand with her. Or your uncle will win." His breath broke again. Legacy isn't blood. Legacy is choosing love, even when the world calls it foolish. If you doubt this, look into the eyes of a child being saved, not the eyes of men trying to stop you. Sophie. Her cartoon eyes. Her missing teeth. Her unicorn. I finished. "Love is not a contract, son. It's a war. Win it. Signed. Dad." Damien leaned against the wall, like the letter took every bone out of him. His voice was barely air. He knew. I whispered back. "So do you." He looked at me, everything in him exposed, and said, "I don't want this to be fake anymore. A confession. Not loud. Not planned. True." His hand touched my cheek. Cautious, like asking permission without words. I didn't pull away. My heart beat like a warning and a welcome at the same time. He kissed me. Not like movies. Not dramatic. Soft. Scared. Real. The kind of kiss that asks, "Is it okay if I hope?" And I didn't answer with words. I kissed back. Because a man who saved a dying child without expecting love deserves at least one moment where love answers him first. Sophie slept between machines. A unicorn blinked glitter in the dark. And two adults, broken by life in different ways, held on to something neither of them planned to feel. The kiss changed nothing and everything at the same time. We didn't wake up different the next morning. There were no flowers or music or movie magic, but something invisible shifted between us. When Damien walked into Sophie's room, he didn't stand beside me like a contract partner. He stood with me. Close enough that his shoulder brushed mine. Close enough that our silence felt shared. And Sophie noticed. Kids always notice feelings adults try to hide. She smiled, sleepy and proud. Like she'd personally arranged the universe. "You look like a real family," she whispered. 4 words. 4 knives. 4 dreams. Damien's breath caught, barely, but I felt it. Then a nurse entered, clinical tone replacing magic. "We need to run more tests today." More tests. The 2 words parents fear most. The 2 words that sound like we don't know if hope is enough. Sophie nodded like she was agreeing to a game. She was brave in ways adults only pretend to be. When they wheeled her bed down the hallway, she held Damien's hand the whole way, small fingers locked around a powerful man who looked powerless in front of a child's struggle. At the elevator, she whispered, "Don't go anywhere." His voice cracked. "I won't. Ever." The door closed. And the pain on his face when she disappeared behind metal doors. I'll never forget it. Not the billionaire pain. Not the strategic loss. The father pain. The kind that hits bone. The reports. We waited in the family lounge, a room built for bad news disguised as normal furniture. Coffee machine. Fake plants. Magazines nobody reads. Every parent in that room looked the same, tired eyes holding white-knuckle hope. Damien sat beside me. Not across. Not away. Knee to knee. Breath to breath. His phone buzzed nonstop. Headlines. Emails. Investors wanting reassurance. He ignored everything. Until one message flashed. Board concerned, child may be used to manipulate media narrative. Manipulate. That word lit something dangerous in me. They're talking about her like she's a headline, I hissed. Damien's jaw tightened. If they see something they don't understand, they call it manipulation. It's easier than admitting love scares them. Love. He said the word like it wasn't allowed in boardrooms. I stared at him. What is this to you now? I asked quietly. The contract? The company? Or something else? His eyes didn't move from the hallway where Sophie disappeared. I don't know what this is, he said, honesty killing every mask he ever wore. But I know that if anything happens to her, nothing else matters. Not the company. Not the legacy. Not the $1 billion. Just her. Sophie. A tiny heartbeat hooked to machines. That truth was louder than any romantic line could ever be. The doctor. After 2 hours, a doctor walked in, expression careful, professional, heavy. Not bad news. Not good news. The third kind, the kind that tells you the future is fragile. We have results, he said. My stomach dropped. Damien stood before I did, like his body moved faster than thought. The doctor's eyes softened a little, he'd seen this before. The treatment is helping, he said. Air returned to the room. But. One word. A universe. But there's inflammation. Her body is fighting harder than expected. We need to adjust the protocol. She'll be weaker. More tired. Weaker. More tired. A 6-year-old shouldn't understand those words. Damien's voice was quiet. Can she recover? The doctor didn't hesitate. She can. But she needs peace. No stress. No media. No tension around her. No media. And right now, the world was screaming about her. The doctor continued. You two, whatever is happening outside, leave it at the door. She feels everything. He left. And the silence afterward wasn't empty. It was collapse. Damien turned to me, eyes sharp with decision. I'm ending this. Everything in the media. Today. How? I asked. You can't stop a scandal. He stared at me like I forgot who he is. I started wars. I can end gossip. Then he walked to the window, hands on the sill, tension in every line of his spine. There's one way to make the world shut up, he said. Give them something undeniable. I frowned. What? He turned. Truth. Not the contract. Not the performance. Truth. But whose truth? His? Mine? Sophie's? He reached into his pocket, pulled out the letter from his father, folded and worn, like he held it 1,000 times since yesterday. This is how we win, he said. Not the company. Not against his uncle. Against hate. Against the narrative that turns love into strategy. I stepped closer. Damien. He didn't let me finish. He took my hand. Not for cameras. Not for contract terms. For gravity. For Sophie, he whispered. 3 words that broke every argument I had. The return. As we waited for Sophie to come back from tests, a nurse hurried over. Confused. Hopeful. There's something you should see, she said, holding a tablet. Live stream. A news channel. And on screen. The journalist from yesterday. Not gossiping. Not attacking. Reading the letter. The entire letter. With Damien's name. With Sophie's story. With his father's words. Legacy is choosing love, even when the world calls it foolish. It spread like wildfire. People watching weren't hearing scandal. They were hearing love story. Not romance. Legacy. A son defending his mother's honor. A man saving a child he didn't owe anything to. The comments streamed. Respect. This isn't business. He saved her. Father like his father. The narrative flipped in real time. Not manipulated. Human. Real. I looked at Damien, stunned. He didn't smile. But I saw relief, the kind that looks like letting go of years of armor. Then the elevator opened. Sophie's bed rolled out, slow, small. She blinked at us. Told you you'd be okay, she murmured. Not I'll be okay. You. Because even at 6 years old, she understood that the man beside her needed saving too. Damien leaned down, forehead touching hers. Not affection. Worship. And she whispered. Don't be sad. We're family now. Family. Not contract. Not business. Family. I felt something break in me. The wall I built to survive poverty, betrayal, disappointment, and something new took its place. Belief. Not that this was easy. Not that it was safe. But that it was true. The uncle might attack again. The world might gossip tomorrow. But right now, a child wrapped her tiny arms around a man once raised to believe love was weakness. And turned him into proof that love is war-wort. Winning. Sophie slept peacefully for the first time in days. Her little hand still holding the unicorn, like warriors hold shields. Damien stood at the window, phone in hand, eyes cold again. I knew that look now. Not business. Battle. The board is stable, he said. But my uncle isn't done. Of course he wasn't. Men like him don't accept defeat, they bend reality until they win. What now? I asked. He turned to me, jaw tight. He's going after you. My heart dropped. Me? Yes, Damien said. If he can't prove the marriage is fake, he'll try to prove you are. Meaning. Destroy the woman, destroy the story. How? I whispered. He looked away, like the answer disgusted him. He hired private investigators. They're digging into your past. Job history. Debts. The GoFundMe. Everything. My cheeks burned. My past wasn't ugly. It was just poor. And poor is what rich men call dirty when they need to win. He thinks if he exposes your struggle, Damien said quietly, he can make you look like a gold digger. I laughed once, bitter. I am digging for gold, Damien. Gold called life. He met my eyes. And that makes you more honest than him. Silence hit, soft, dangerous. So what do we do? I asked. We get ahead of him, Damien said. Tell the truth before he twists it. How? With another letter? Another speech? He shook his head. No. With us. The interview. That evening, a respected journalist came to the hospital, camera, microphone, real empathy instead of fake smiles. Sophie was asleep. We sat beside her bed, machines humming like background music. The interview started simple. How did you two meet? I told the truth, the hospital, the GoFundMe, the offer. Yes, I said on camera, there were papers. Yes, it was a deal. But not the kind you think. What kind then? A deal to save a life. One sentence. No tears. Just truth. The journalist turned to Damien. Why help a stranger? His eyes went soft, a version of him only Sophie unlocks. Because someone once helped me when I was helpless. And I promised myself I'd repay that debt someday. Your mother? She asked. He nodded. And now I have the chance. The camera caught something powerful in that moment. Not love story, legacy story. No romance needed. Just human reason. The journalist ended with, so your marriage started as a contract. What is it now? Damien didn't look at the camera. He looked at me. Then he said, it's real for her. Meaning, Sophie. Not me. Not him. Her. And that was the truth that mattered. The uncle's reaction. The interview aired within hours. Comments exploded, but not like before. People defended us. He saved that child. Leave them alone. Business deal or not, a girl lives. Respect. The uncle lost control of the narrative. He tried a statement. Tried a leak. Nothing stuck. The world chose the story with heart over the story with hate. That night, we got a message. Board closing investigation. Case dismissed. Done. Just like that. Years of anger turned into a dead end. The moment Damien walked into Sophie's room, late, quiet, thoughtful. I was half asleep in the chair. He whispered, "You changed everything today." I shook my head. She did. We looked at her, tiny chest rising, falling, fighting. Then he said something I never expected. "When the contract ends, I want you both to stay." My breath stopped. Stay? How? With me. No board meeting. No cameras. No pressure. Just a man asking a woman to stay in his life for real, not for a deal. "Damien," I whispered. "We're not pretending anymore," he said. "At least, I'm not." My heart broke open, not painful. Relief. Because the truth was simple, terrifying, and beautiful. Some lies become real when love walks into them.